Hi everybody! So today I'm going to show you how to make this little donut, and I'll be making mine exactly like this one. So in today's tutorial I'll be using light pink and caramel brown. I'll also be using 12 little e-beads that are threaded onto the icing color. You pick whatever colors that you'd like to use. These are some different options. You can even make the bottom in a different color, a yellow as a lemon donut or a pink as a strawberry flavored donut. You decide. The beads are optional, and you can also use wrapped bands. You're going to need a pair of scissors for today and your string to thread your beads and your hook and some stuffing. So I'm going to get started, and I do hope you enjoy. The first thing that we're going to do is thread 12 small little beads onto the icing color. So the top part, whatever color that you're using, you'd want to thread 12 little beads, and I'm using the e-beads. Now to thread these, I'm using a string that you would use for beaded bracelets or a fishing line, whatever you have lying around. If you don't have them, you can use a wrapped band, which I'll get to in a second, but you'll need a total of 12. So for the beads, all I'm going to do is take my string and thread the icing color through and grabbing the end. So both ends, and put your bead through. Bring it to the middle of the band. And you'll need 12. Now if you don't have the beads, you can use a wrapped band. It will look just as nice. You can wrap this around your hook 4 times so you have 4 loops. And then you can thread that onto the single band of the icing color. So you'd want to pause the video and have that all ready. For round 1, I'm going to do a chain of 12. I'm using a different color for the cap band, because after I'm going to end up cutting it with a pair of scissors. So you'd want to use any color of your choice, and I do recommend that you cut it out. So I'm going to do 12 chains. So I have a chain of 12. I have 6 bands, and 6 bands is 12. My first band I'm going to wrap around my hook 3 times. So I have 3 loops, and then I'm just going to create my chain with the icing color. So right now you should have a chain of 12, and you want to make sure that it's nice and neat and nothing is twisted. Now for round 2, I'm going to attach our chain together. I'm going to do a reverse stitch all the way around, and I'm using 12 bands. So at the end of this round, you're going to have 12 stitches. I'm adding 4 beads. They will go on chains 3, 6, 9, and 12. So right here I have 12 bands. We're going to attach our chain together first and then cut. So I'm going to hold the cap band to the side and put my hook through the actual chain. If you're going to hold your cap band where you see the actual circle and go through, you won't have the actual chain on your hook and everything is just going to fall apart. So you want to hold the cap band to the side here like this and bring your hook right to the end. So you'll see that you have now 4 loops of the icing color on your hook. I'm just going to cut now, so in case yours does fall apart, you'll be able to just fix by creating another chain. So I hope that you went in the right opening, and you should have your chain like this. So you're going to take your first band and slide it through. all the loops that are on your hook, grab the end and slide. You want to attach your stitch marker now to this band that's around your hook. And normally we would go this way, but this time we're going to go around. So when you're going through the chains and you're doing your crochets, you want to make sure you're going through the actual chain. So I'm going to skip the first little stitch here because we've used that one already, and I'm going to go to the next. So I'm going through the center of the chain, so I'll have the loops on my hook. You're going to do now 11 single crochets around. You're going to follow the pattern of the beads and make sure you're going through your chains. Take your time with this round. Just look for the opening and make sure you're going through the center of the chain. Now you could go the right way, the opposite way of where I'm going now, so it's not in reverse. It's just you won't have a complete circle. It'll kind of have like a bump when you're done. But it will get hidden, so it's up to you if you can't go this way. You are going to stop at the stitch before the stitch marker. Make sure you're going through the chain. And now you can just kind of move your bands around and you'll see that the circle will form. So when we start our next round, your stitch is going in the same stitch where your stitch marker is. So you want to keep an eye on that. Right now you're going to remove your stitch marker, keeping an eye on that first stitch, and put your stitch marker on the band that's around your hook. You could get ready and just put your hook through that stitch where it was. For round 3, I'm going to be stitching around. I'm not going reverse, and I'm going to use 18 bands, and we're going to have 18 stitches when we're done. I'm doing a single crochet followed by an increase, single crochet followed by an increase. So every second chain, you're going to add 2 bands. You're going to repeat this 6 times. So I'm in my first chain, and I'm just doing a single crochet. Chain 2 is your increase, so 2 bands in that one chain. Back in. And you will stop at the stitch marker. You're going to repeat 1, 2. Back in. And continue. 1, 2. You're going to finish this all the way to get to your stitch marker. So just make sure that your chain is nice and flat. I have 2 chains left and 2 sections left. Right now you have 18 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 4, we're going to do 18 single crochets, and I'm adding 4 beads. I have 18 bands here, 6, 6, and 6. So 6 times 3 is 18. 18 bands in total. I'm adding the beads on chains 1, 5, 9, and 13. So if you want to pause the video and copy the layout, and then you're just doing 18 single crochets. So 1 band in each chain all the way around. Don't start where it's getting pulled. Start in your first chain, and you're starting with your bead. Bring it through, grab the end, and slide. And then just continue all the way around until you get to your stitch marker. So again, you should have 18 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 5, we're going to increase to 27 stitches. So I have 27 bands here. We're going to do a single crochet followed by an increase, single crochet followed by an increase, and you're going to repeat this 9 times. So you'll have 27 stitches when you're done. So just every second chain, you're adding 2 bands. So I'm going to get started, not in the chain where it's getting pulled. I'm going to go in my first chain with a single crochet. Chain 2 is my increase, so 2 bands, 1 at a time. Back in. And repeat, 1, 2. Follow the layout until you get to the stitch marker. Again, you should have 27 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 6, we're going to do 27 single crochets and we're using 4 of our beads. I have 27 bands here. I have 10 and 10, it's 20, and then 7. So 27 in total. I'm going to add the beads on chains 3, 8, 18, and 23. So you can pause the video and set up your layout. Now, I'm going to start not where it's getting pulled in my first chain. 1 band in each chain until I get to the stitch marker. Copy the layout. When you add your beads or your bands, try to make sure that you don't have the same color of the beads in the same area. Excuse me. So again, you should have 27 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For round 7, I'm going to do 27 single crochets and I'm grabbing the inside loops only. So to each one of my chains, all the way around to the stitch marker, you're just grabbing that one little loop that's facing the center. So I'm going to start off with the donut color, so the bottom part that you choose, and I am using caramel brown. I'm not so good with colors, I don't know. So I'm going to use 27 bands and do 27 single crochets. I have 10, 10, and 7. You're going to do this all the way to your stitch marker. So starting not where it's getting pulled, I am going to grab the first inside loop, and because I'm changing color, I'm going to start off with a slip stitch. Now when you do this slip stitch, try really hard not to pull this band, because then you'll have an opening here. So it's very loose, and go to your next. Again, when you get to your stitch marker and then you're removing your stitch marker, try not to pull the actual stitch marker so it doesn't pull the band when you're attaching it. I'll get to that in a minute. So to each inside loop only. So you should have 27 stitches. You want to remove that stitch marker and attach it to the band that's around your hook. But again, try not to pull this band as you're attaching the stitch marker. For round 8, we're going to decrease to 18 stitches. I'm going to do a single crochet followed by a decrease, and I'm going to use Nancy's decrease. So it's a little trick that Nancy has taught me if you're not familiar. I will get to in a second. So it's a single crochet followed by a decrease, single crochet followed by a decrease, and you're repeating this 9 times. So you'll have 18 stitches when you're done. So I'm going to go in the first chain, not where it's getting pulled, and not the little slip knot because you changed color. You want to go in your first chain and do a single crochet. Be very gentle when you're doing this part so you're not pulling this band. Now for the decrease, what I'm going to do is stitch my stitches together. My first stitch, I'm grabbing the inside loop only, and the second stitch, I'm grabbing the outside loop only, and I'm going to stitch together. I'm just going to repeat one more time. So it's the inside loop of the first chain, outside loop of the second chain, and it's a clean decrease. I'm still keeping it nice and round for this design. So I'm bringing my band through and I just stitch those 2 stitches together. I'm going to repeat the pattern, single crochet followed by a decrease. So it is the inside loop and the outside loop of the next chain. Repeat, single crochet followed by a decrease. So the next chain is the inside loop and the next chain is the outside loop. Stitch together, and you can follow the layout until you get to your stitch marker. Should have 18 stitches. Remove your stitch marker and add it to the band that's around your hook. For rounds 9 and 10, we're going to do 18 single crochets, so adding 1 band to each chain, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way around. Each pile I have 18 bands, so at the end of each round you should have 18 stitches. I'm going to do round 9 with you, and then you're going to pause the video and come back to me when you've completed round 10. So I'm going to get started. You want to make sure you're going to go on your first chain. For me, I found it's very easy to go in where it's getting pulled. So make sure you're going to your first chain. Just give it a tug, a slight one, and you'll know not to go in there. 1 band in each chain until you get to the stitch marker. You have 18 stitches. Remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and you can start with round 10, not where it's getting pulled. You're just going in your first chain all the way around, and you're just repeating the same steps. You can pause the video, continue, and come back to me when you're done. For round 11, I have round 11 and 12 here. For round 11, we're going to decrease to 12 stitches. So the pattern is going to be a single crochet followed by a decrease, which I'll use Nancy's decrease again. Single crochet followed by a decrease, single crochet followed by a decrease, and you're going to repeat this pattern 6 times. So you'll get your 12 stitches when you're done. For round 12, I have 12 bands here. This is our last round. So you're going to do 12 single crochets. In the last band, you're going to tie it off with a slip knot. So I'm going to do both rounds with you. I'm going to start with round 11, going in my first chain with a single crochet. Now decrease inside loop, outside loop of the next chain, and stitch together. Repeat, single crochet followed by a decrease. Inside loop, outside loop. Stitch together. Repeat, single crochet followed by a decrease. You're going to continue until you get to your stitch marker. "12 stitches, remove your stitch marker, add it to the band that's around your hook, and you can start with round 12. 1 band in each chain till you get to the stitch marker, last band, slip knot. Last band, so you're bringing it through all the loops that are on your hook and tie it off. You can remove your stitch marker, and this is what you should have. Now I'm going to add some stuffing next, and I do suggest maybe watching me first how I stuff it, and then you can just kind of pause the video and then add some yourself. Now I'm going to add some stuffing, but before I add the stuffing, I just want to explain that after I add the stuffing, I'm going to be doing 12 slip stitches to close this off. And I'm going to be going from this way with my hook up. But I just want to point out that the stitches that I'm going to be grabbing, I have 12 stitches here and 12 stitches here. So I'm going to be using 12 bands. I am going to be grabbing this way, but I want to show you which stitches I'm going to grab. When you're going around, I will be starting at the slip knot, but when you're going around to seal it off, I'm only going to be grabbing the inside loops of both chains only. Now, you could grab both, and it just gives it a completely different look. I don't have an example of it, but you could grab both. It was a cleaner finish if I just grabbed the inside loops only. So you just want to take your time to each chain around, and you're just going to have to fix and kind of, you'll be able to see when we get there. I just want to point out that those are the 2 stitches that I'll be grabbing, the ones beside each other. Now, to stuff, you might want to watch me first. What I'm going to do is I'm only going to be stuffing this kind of area inside all the way around. So I'm going to take some stuffing and I'm going to put it together, and I'm just going to kind of roll it. And I'm just kind of like twisting the stuffing. So this is kind of like how much stuffing that I want to have inside. So it's kind of the length of the actual donut. So I'm going to push inside. You can see my fingers inside and my fingers on the other side. And with my other hand, I'm just going to kind of like push in, and you can see that I'm just kind of like fixing, because we don't need the stuffing in the center. We need it opened. So I'm just kind of like fixing with my finger as I'm putting it inside. And now at this point in time, you'll know that if you're adding too much stuffing, because you'll see it right through the holes of the donut. So this is all extra. So now with my other finger, I'm just going to go through the other side, and I'm just kind of giving it a twirl. So I have it all open in the center. Now I'm just kind of pushing the 2 ends together, and this will all fluff up when you're done. Now again, 12 single crochets, or sorry, 12 slip stitches. Your last one, you're just going to pull tighter to close it off. So find your slip knot, and you want to make sure it's flat and nothing seems twisted. You're going to want to put the donut together. Start wherever you feel comfortable. But what I'm going to do is grab the inside loop of my icing color and the inside loop of the donut. Now you're going to have to let go to grab your band and do a slip stitch. So it's just bringing your band through on your hook and slide. Now you're going to have to push in the stuffing and go to your next chain right beside. So it's that top little loop of your pink here and the bottom one of the donut, and slip stitch. So through all the loops to each chain around. Fix the stuffing. You can see that this chain was used because it's getting pulled. Grab that first little loop, which would be your inside of the icing. Don't grab the stuffing. Inside loop of the donut. You can see my donut's really flat. We could just fluff it up when we're done. It just kind of pops up. And fix the stuffing so you don't grab. And again, you're just repeating this all the way around. You'll end up using 12 bands. I can't really see my chain, so I'm just opening it up. If you don't know where to grab, you can kind of open it up and you'll see 4 chains. You should have 4 chains left because I have 4 bands left here. So that will help you to know where to grab at the certain section because that's where you started your chain. So I have 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The last one, we're just going to grab and pull it a bit tighter. So we're done with that one. So you're just going to pull it through the same way and just give it a little tug so you have your slip knot. Now these two bands, I'm just going to hide now. I'm going to go through, come out a hole right beside the slip knot and bring it through. Careful you don't grab the stuffing. Now, I'm just moving the stuffing around and it's done. You can move your beads around if they seem like they're hiding. You're just pulling this little loop to the end and just bringing your bead up to the center of the bands. And it's done. I hope you enjoyed Looming with Cheryl. Please subscribe down below. I have a lot more designs to load, and I'll see you next time with another. Bye for now.